Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in today. Now, as you see, there's three of us on the screen because I couldn't hold these ladies back. We have a very interesting show for you, ladies and gentlemen, today to consider getting the pen and piece of paper out. Why? It's because it's housing issues. So I don't want to waste a long time with my introduction, but today's show is resources for the homeowners and tenants. So those of you who are struggling with what has happened since the COVID-19 has ended, the moratorium has ended. What am I going to do? My landlord trying to evict me or whatever, mortgage companies, rates going up. We have two wonderful guests in the house, Ruth Johnson from CDAD, and she brought along her dear friend and colleague, attorney Tonya Meyers Phillips. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Marsha. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining me. Now, Ruth, I'm going to start off with you because you know what? You're always coming with that bright smile with some resources to tell our viewers, and then we want you to introduce Attorney Phillips to us as well. So, Ruth, a lot of people are not familiar with CDAD. You can fill us in on a little CDAD information, and let's go jump right into the subject today about homeowners. So tell us about CDAD, Ruth.
I'd be happy to. So first, CDAD stands for Community Development Advocates of Detroit. We affectionately call ourselves CDAD. What we are a membership-oriented, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We have 200 terrific members across the city of Detroit. They're block clubs, neighborhood associations, community development organizations, community development finance institutions, and many, many more. These are people and organizations who care deeply and work very hard to make sure Detroiters and Detroit neighborhoods have the resources, the opportunities they need to provide a high quality of life for all Detroiters.
Great. So that's why today's subject is homeowners and tenants' rights. Okay, that's good. So Ruth, let me ask you this. What is the statewide housing plan and why is it so important?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Because our CDAD members, some of our members are actually landlords. They provide housing options for a variety of groups of people, whether it's low income, very low income, people with disabilities, our veterans, our seniors, or just our families. But then we also have members who are working to provide more opportunities and resources for people who are tenants or people facing or at risk of foreclosure due to tax or mortgage issues, as well as those who are providing housing counseling and services for people interested in buying a house or getting a mortgage. So today, I specifically want to talk about the statewide housing plan. This is the first plan, statewide housing plan. You may think, well, unfortunately, the state of Michigan has been doing a lot of programs and different things, but this is the first time where everything has come together. And it was a multi-year process of listening to various stakeholders across the state, including people here in Detroit, Wayne County, and Southeast Michigan, as well as, again, across the state, and looking at racial equity, looking at the supply of housing and different things. But this is the first time it's a comprehensive plan. But you know what? They're not just keeping it at a plan. So although there's a lot of input into the plan, one of the exciting things is that MISHDA, which stands for the Michigan State Housing and Development Authority, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, again, affectionately called MISHDA.
Yes.
It's a state of Michigan agency that is really leading this work, but they know they can't do it by themselves. So they have formed 15 regional partnerships. And these partnerships have several responsibilities. One is to implement the statewide plan, but also to develop and implement regional plans, because we know what may be good on this side of the state may not work on this side of the state. So I'm very thrilled that Community Development Advocates of Detroit, along with List Detroit, has been chosen to co-lead and co-coordinate the Detroit region. So we're called Region O. Okay. I don't know why it's called regional, but just think Detroit region. One of the 15 regional partnerships. And just in case your listeners and watchers don't know, LISC stands for local, let me get it right. Local Initiative Support Corporation. It's a national organization. They're in 44 states and many cities and counties. And basically, what they're responsible for and do a great job is coordinating and supporting community development initiatives.
So
And
Ruth,
when you
let me
think about
ask you
community,
this: you guys have been working on this for a while, then, and have you guys?
well,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's been going on for quite a length of time instead of just since COVID has ended. Looks like it's been going on since the beginning of COVID with the concerns of what's going to happen after these special programs were implemented. Now that they're gone away, this program in itself is taking effect. So let me jump in here right quick so you can introduce to us Attorney Tonya Meyers Phillips, and we have some slides for the ladies and gentlemen, but I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge both of you first. So Ruth, go ahead and introduce to us Tonya Meyers Phillips.
my pleasure. Just know our housing needs preceded COVID and they'll continue. But I would like to introduce my friend, my co-laborer, my colleague, and my co-teacher for Wayne State Law course, Tonya Meyers Phillips, because she understands we're dealing with housing systems and structural issues that need to be addressed. So I'll turn you over to the good hands and warm heart of Tonya Meyers Phillips.
How you doing,
Oh,
Attorney
thank you.
Phillips?
I'm doing really well today. Thank you so much, Marcia, for having me on, and thank you to my wonderful friend and colleague, Attorney Ruth Johnson, for inviting me today as well. It's a pleasure to talk with both of you today.
Well,
Thank
good,
you.
good. I mean, we have a slew of questions that the viewers probably got concerns about. So,
Mhm.
Attorney Phillips, one of the starting questions is, are evictions on the rise again in the city of Detroit?
Unfortunately, they are, Marcia, and our viewers should be aware that during the pandemic, there were a number of social safety net measures that were taken. There were moratoriums, there was rental assistance programs in play that significantly reduced, almost stopped the rate of evictions for a while. So we learned that with deliberate public policy interventions, decreasing the eviction rate is in fact possible. We learned that from the pandemic. However, a lot of those temporary measures have been are no longer active.
Right.
So what we see is a rise in evictions that is returning to the pre-pandemic rate of what we used to see of nearly 30,000 evictions every single year, not one year having a bad year,
Wow.
every year in the city of Detroit. So we have been living and experiencing the trauma of a housing crisis for a very long time in the city of Detroit.
Now, how does this relate to population loss? Because I know we have to be losing a certain level of population doing this.
We do, and that is the topic of the day. It seems we've been losing population for a long time in the city of Detroit. This is not new information, and our research and data shows that without additional investment in measures such as right to counsel, which I know we'll have the opportunity to talk about more, but unless the city of Detroit takes a serious approach to investing in housing security, we know that approximately 10% of our population will face eviction this year. Approximately 25% of our renter population will face eviction. And once you go through that process, many individuals are not able to return to their homes in the city of Detroit. And we are losing population, and it is connected with eviction. We have a wonderful resource. You could Google economic impact of a right to counsel for the city of Detroit. That was a report performed or analyzed and put together by the Stout firm, which is a global firm, did this analysis with our coalition, and the
Okay.
population loss and the correlation with evictions is documented in that report as well. So it's something that we need to take seriously from a humanitarian
Mm-hmm.
perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from an economic perspective. The health and vitality of our city depends on it. And if we don't get a hold of and get ahead of this eviction crisis through public policy and funding the laws that we already have from the books, then our population will continue to decline.
Most definitely, most definitely. Now, ladies, I have some resources back and forth here, and I know I have to piggy back and forth with you guys, but I wanted to bring some things up so that the viewers can see. It says Community Development Advocacy of Detroit, the membership center, nonprofit organization with more than 200 members. Now, Ruth, I know this is a part of you advocating for public policy and resources that advance the work of nonprofits, community-based organizations, and residents-led groups in Detroit neighborhoods. Okay, so you guys are actually celebrating 25 years of serving the leading voices of Detroit community development. What the Ruth? Now, in between all this information we got about housing, you guys are celebrating 25 years.
Yes, indeed. So for 25 years, we've been, like the slide says, the leading voice for community development. But I want your folks to understand community development isn't about just the places or the buildings. It's about the people, the great people who are doing great work over this 25 years so that we have a great city with great neighborhoods.
Okay. So now, Tonya, I'm sorry, Attorney Phillips, we're going to go back to you because I wanted to show this beautiful, strong slide here about Detroit Rights to Counsel Coalition. I mean, that's not only the sign for Libras, but I'm looking at it like, hey, that's justice right there. That's totally justice. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
But, we have some questions. Now, people do call, and before we actually go back into you guys' discussion, I wanted to bring up the information about before court. So, Attorney Phillips, somebody's getting ready to go to court. They've been crying 2 or 3 days in advance, a week or whatever. This is something that they should know before they go to court, correct?
Absolutely. So before you go to court, know that you have rights. A rental agreement is a contractual agreement. There are rights and responsibilities of the tenant. There are rights and responsibilities of the landlord. So just because you're going to court, that does not necessarily mean that you should be evicted. It is a legal matter, which means you need an attorney. So thank goodness in the city of Detroit, Detroit Right to Counsel Coalition, of which CDAD is a member, along with 20 other organizations and hundreds of citizens across the city of Detroit, worked and advocated down at City Hall. And the Detroit Right to Counsel ordinance was introduced by City Council President Mary Sheffield and unanimously passed in May of 2022. So the good thing that people should know and must know is that if you're low income and facing eviction, whether that is being evicted by a landlord or if a mortgage company is saying, hey, they've accelerated the balance and they're trying to foreclose and evict. That way, whatever brings you into 36th District Court, if your household income is not greater than 200% of federal poverty level, I know that's a mouthful, but if you're low to moderate income Detroiters, you have a right to a attorney, a free legal services attorney to represent you, which you should have happen, because if you're represented by an attorney, statistics show right here in the city of Detroit, you are 18 times more likely to stay in your home when you have legal representation.
Now,
so
let me say this. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the fear is the average person doesn't know that they can get free legal counsel. The first thing come to their mind is, I got to pay somebody to represent me. I got to talk to somebody. So I wanted to bring this back up because it says find people who can help you and get self-help resources. So I'm hoping our viewers will see the number, Detroit Housing Hotline, Lakeshore Legal Aid Hotline, and the email address, the web address. So on the average, a person is already upset. They don't know that they can get free counseling. And so we're going to post this number back and forth. And I appreciate that you also sent over the information for our disabled population, because a person with a disability say, well, how do I get representation? I can't get to the building, get in the building, due to my disability, according to what it is. So I see this number here. If you have a disability, contact the 36th District Court and request accommodations for your hearing. Okay, and that's good because it can be done remotely.
Yes.
So I'm hoping our viewers
Yes.
catch these numbers, 313-965-4065, or the web address. This is really important because people
Mhm.
are sitting here and on Facebook watching it, and then we're going to
Mhm.
share this amongst our network with PBS and Comcast Detroit and Troy, all of the areas. We want people to
Mhm.
know that there is legal representation out here to
Yes.
make your life easier before you just wait till the middle of the night and leave the house empty. I mean,
Oh
people
my
do that,
goodness.
so we just
Yes,
want to stop
they
people from
do.
running out the house thinking that, okay, I'm gonna be
Mhm.
evicted over the weekend, so I might as well sneak away in the middle of the night and
Mhm.
just leave, when you don't have to do that, when you really don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
So
And thank
the
thank you for breaking it down, Marcia, and keeping it real. We have rights, we fought hard for those rights, and I'm so thankful to your show and you using your platform to inform the residents of the city of Detroit that you have rights, you have options, and take
Well,
advantage of
I
those
I
rights.
thank you ladies for being the spokespersons for the day to give these people the food for knowledge, because they don't know. They just don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go back to a question. I know, Ruth, I had a screen up for you about, let me see, was it statewide housing? So, Ruth, I see this screen here, statewide housing plan, Michigan's first statewide housing plan. And you spoke about it earlier. And there's the Michigan.gov MISHDA website. So if people go to the website, will they be able to find out any more information in reference to the housing plan?
Yes, they'll be able to find a copy of the housing plan as well as a lot more information, as well as information about, as I mentioned before, the 15 regional partnerships, including the Detroit partnership. So there's a whole host of information, resources, and materials on the MISHDA website.
Okay, okay. So most people, I hope everybody can see that screen, michigan.gov/MISHDA, MSHDA. Now, somebody's going to call us here at Just Ask and ask us that information, but we'll have it posted up 2 or 3 times, as well as in the credit roll for those who actually missed it. So, our viewers come in a wide range of cities, and we know that this information is helpful even if you live in another city and you're trying to help your sister or brother who lives in the city of Detroit or something. Take the information down, ladies and gentlemen, and share the wealth of information so that you can help a family member, a friend, or whatever, or a neighbor. The lady on the corner, she's elderly and she's about to lose her house. She shouldn't have to lose her house, when you can call the numbers here and provide her some resources to get help in maintaining her home. That's key. So we do know a lot of people are just up in arms about losing their homes, even though a lot of these benefit programs have ended abruptly. So I'll say abruptly because you kind of had a notice, but then you didn't have a notice because everybody doesn't
Right.
read the paper. Some people don't watch the news. Some people don't watch programs like this. But however they get the information, they might have gotten it a little too late, and now they're at the bewitching hour and afraid of what's going to happen. So, Attorney Phillips, I mean, what is the right to counsel's ordinance? I mean, what is the benefit to Detroiters?
Well, this ordinance is a game changer. So first of all, it provides, like we've been explaining and sharing with the viewers, it provides a right to legal representation, a free, publicly funded right, which has not existed at any point in history before. So that is a significant barrier remover and allows people to actually have a fighting chance in court. But the other thing that's pretty cool about the ordinance is that it's broad. It covers any type of eviction case. It's not just
Right.
for renters, it's for homeowners, land contract holders, rent to own, interesting agreements. We have a lot of issues with those. Unfortunately, on the negative side, sometimes the scams or whatnot. It covers illegal evictions. So if you're staying in a home and your landlord has said, you know what, I have something for you, and turns off your heat or power, that's a constructive eviction, constructive,
Mm.
and it's illegal. So it covers those instances, or if your locks are changed without an order of the court, you can receive legal representation for that. It covers appeals, And it covers and mandates that community outreach happen as well. So people can know. So we should see more outreach and know your rights trainings coming from the city of Detroit as well. And then it requires an annual reporting. So every year there should be a public report letting the people of Detroit know how things are going, how many people were represented, what is the outcome of the cases, how are we doing. So it's a great ordinance, first one in the state, 18th in the nation. So Detroit is on the forefront of a movement to provide greater rights for people in terms of
This
their
is wonderful.
housing.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. Now, I think I have another flyer or something up here. So contact DRTC, Detroit Rights to Counsel. Okay, so you can
Mm-hmm.
reach out to them, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't see this information, we'll put it back up, but definitely consider giving them a call, 833-358-4698, or go by the web address that you see. Okay, and definitely want to reach out because you got questions. Our viewers, you have questions, so don't hesitate in taking down this information or giving us a call at the 800 number at Just Ask Talk Show so that you can, get this
Mm-hmm.
information and share along the way. Now, so Ruth, going back to you, I said, how will Detroiters be engaged in the implement of the plan? Let me see. Did I bring up your last brochure? There it is, Regional Housing Partnership. So, Ruth, you had some information about this regional partnership, and you spoke about it earlier. You said 15 regional housing partnerships. 15?
Yeah, different parts of the state. So this is for everybody in the state of Michigan. But I'm here to talk more about the Detroit region, and CDAD and List Detroit, as I said, are co-leading the partnership, which is important for the implementation of the statewide plan and developing and implementing our regional plan over the next 5 years. But this summer, things are going to be heating up. We're just getting started, but there's going to be engagement of community partners and residents because housing, that affects all of us. We believe that housing is a human right and that we do need housing stability and justice. And you saw the email, RHP at CDAD hyphen or dash online.org. People have questions or just want more information, I would say go to the MISHDA, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority website first if you have access to internet and that works for you. But you can also drop us an email, but don't be too quick because we're just getting started.
Okay. I'm going to bring that screen back up with that email address below, which is the Rights Regional Housing Partnership. So the RHP at CDAD online.org, and we'll post that a little later as well. So we do know that there will be people trying to get that information. So ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, if you miss out on this segment, give us a call at the Just Ask Talk Show line, 1-800-323-5336, and we'll put it back up for you or give it to you personally. Okay, so either way it goes. Now, I don't want to end this conversation because really I'm a half an hour show, but I could take an hour because people are saying, "Wow, now I get to know I got some place I can call. I can definitely get in contact with someone about my housing issues." And I think this was the screen here to contact. We're gonna bring that back up. Make sure that people get that phone number and web, and then definitely our friends and family members who have disabilities and have concerns. Want to post that up for you again.
Mm-hmm.
And our general public who is definitely in need, Detroit Housing Hotline, 866-313-2520, and Lakeshore Legal Aid Hotline, 888-783-8190. So we, and you guys got to introduce us to some of these individuals so they can come and tell us, help the people along the way as well. So before I wrap up, I had a question or two, Attorney Phillips. I said, how can you join the DRTC fight for housing justice and full public funding of the Rights of Counsel ordinance?
Absolutely. Well, let me try and tell you real quick.
Okay.
And I just want to add one thing to the last slide. If you're not able to make contact or forget those numbers before court, it's not too late. When you go to court, you make sure that you tell the judge, if you're not asked, that I would like to speak to a right to counsel attorney or legal aid attorney. I would like to exercise my right to counsel. Make sure that you verbalize that up front. And then you could also go to room 417 in the court, which is where the legal services attorneys have their temporary kind of base of operations. So if you're not able to make contact before, you lost the number, forgot the number, just make sure you say it when you get to court. I'd like to talk to an attorney.
Okay.
We see that a lot on the
Okay.
criminal side. It applies here. Just ask. Like
I'm gonna remember that. Okay, I'm gonna definitely remember that. Okay, okay. Between you and
just
Ruth,
ask.
I'm gonna tell people a lot of stuff. So we have a segment called Marsha's Recap. We
Mhm.
will have these
Mhm.
slides back up again, just in
Mhm.
case people miss it this time. As well as, like I said, we're
Mhm.
gonna share this resource with all of our viewers through all of our networks. And definitely ask you ladies to come back and give us some more resources, because this is phenomenal for the city of Detroit
Mhm.
residents. I'm sure a lot of people will be pleased to know that they can get some help now, and it's not the end of the
Mhm.
line. So will you ladies come back and
Mhm.
join me again?
Of
I
course.
would love to.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad you all said that, because I'll be looking forward to seeing you. All right. So just hold
Mhm.
tight for me for a minute. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
like I said, give us a call, 1-800-323-5336,
Mhm.
or Marsha to Twitter, Just As Talk Show, or Marsha at justastalkshow.org, because you're going to need this information. So I'm definitely going to have these
Mhm.
ladies come back, and I want you to join us as well. If you should miss me on Facebook, go to the show and watch
Yeah.
us on 5:30 in the morning on PBS Channel 56, and you can catch us on all the other cable networks as well. Comcast Detroit, Comcast Southfield, Troy, Wide Open West, Lansing, you name it, we're there. I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you have a question about a person with a disability or a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. See you next time.